When you look at the situation as a whole, here is exactly what went down after another blowout loss for the Chicago Sky. This was Ariel Atkins speaking on behalf of Angel Reese. Of course, they traded for Atkins in the offseason.
And the amount of crap that she gets on a day-to-day, and she still shows up. So whatever questions y'all got like about our team, basketball-wise, we appreciate it, but all the other nonsense, like, it's irrelevant. Like, we're here to play basketball and do what we do. We're having a hard time right now at the end of the day. Just a 23-year-old kid who handles herself with grace. Her crown is heavy.
Stephen A. Smith just delivered the reality check that has the basketball world talking.
Angel Reese, right? Yeah. They're going back and forth. And Jamil Hill says by the time Angel Reese is done, she's going to be the Michael Jordan of WNBA.
She said about Angel Reese?
She said Angel Reese, by the time she retires, can you pull up this quote? She said, by the time she retires, she will be the MJ of, go to Jamil Hill, type in Jamil Hill, yeah. She says, by the time she retires, Jamil Hill has made a bold prediction that Angel Reese will become the MJ.
After Angel Reese's latest performance against the Liberty, the First Take host didn't hold back. 4 points, 27-point loss, no excuses left. When the spotlight was brightest and Caitlin Clark was sidelined, one player crumbled while the other's legacy only grew stronger.
Prices, insane. Let me read you the ticket prices. After Caitlin Clark's been hurt for 2 weeks, all right? So let's go through this. Caitlin Clark absence is having an immediate impact beyond the court. According to data shared by Yahoo Sports, via TickPick, prices for 2 specific Indiana Fever away games against the Chicago Sky and the Washington Mystics dropped sharply after Clark was sidelined. Before the injury, the lowest ticket available for Fever's matchup in Chicago was $86. For the game in Washington, fans needed at least $41 to get in. After the news of Clark's absence, those get-in prices fell to $25 from $86 and $14 from $41. What the hell is going on with WNBA that they cannot handle all this attention that they're getting, as well as that?
Do you think Stephen A. went too far? Or was this the wake-up call Angel Reese needed to hear?
To be honest, and this was a rough game from the Chicago Sky, and I understand a lot of people be like, you know what, they were in the game at halftime. They were up 1, and Atlanta got nuclear hot, but that's the most favorable way you can look at it. Atlanta were 2 of 18 from 3 at one stage.
Let me set the scene for you. Angel Reese walks into this Liberty matchup with all the confidence in the world. Hair done, nails perfect, outfit coordinated like she's heading to Milan Fashion Week instead of Madison Square Garden. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is sitting on the bench with ice wrapped around her ankle, probably sipping a Gatorade and wondering how someone can spend more time on their pre-game fit than their actual game preparation.
You saw it. I couldn't tell what happened. What was it looked.
We ran into each other.
Possibly you even stepped on her foot. It was as incidental as that.
You can go look at it. Okay. Great. Next.
Second from the right.
John over here from She Got Game. For you, Angel, tonight you were extremely efficient, played with a lot of poise and confidence tonight. For for all the scrutiny you do receive online and stuff of that nature, what kind of message does a game like this send to them, as well as just the kind of momentum that this could build for you throughout the season?
Yeah, I obviously don't worry about what's going on online. I get so much love in person. I haven't ever had a negative encounter in person ever. And I've been going through this for 3 years. I've never had an encounter in person that was negative. So people online are behind the keyboard for a reason, and I don't worry about that stuff. I trust my work. My teammates trust me. And I was telling Milla today, she felt like she was having a rough day, and I was like, how many times have I had a rough day? And you picked me up. So don't get down on yourself. I know my teammates have my back, my coaches have my back, and that's all that really matters. I don't have to prove anything to anybody but myself and my teammates.
4 points. That's not a typo. That's not a statistical error. That's Angel Reese's entire offensive contribution in a game where she was supposed to be the main character. Stephen A. Smith saw that box score and probably had to clean his glasses twice before accepting what he was looking at. This wasn't just a bad game. This was a masterclass in how to disappear when the lights get brighter.
This is going to blow up and is worth addressing. Angel Reese had her best game of the season against the New York Liberty. It wasn't even close. Clearly her best game of the season. She's really struggled finishing this year. She looked a lot more aggressive, taking the ball up. She took shots from the outside that I think she needs to do. She needs to pull up, make the defense honest. She looked like she was playing with a ton of effort, and the Skies still lost. They still got blown out, and the Sky issues go well beyond Angel Reese's field goal percentage. Obviously, Courtney Vandersloot out for the season. That's a blow, but they weren't even good before then. Their draft pick goes to the Minnesota Lynx. There is a lot.
You want to know what makes this even more painful? The Liberty went up 10-0 immediately and could have won by 50 if they really wanted to embarrass Chicago. This wasn't competitive basketball. This was a public execution disguised as a WNBA game. And while everyone expected Angel to step up with Clark sidelined, she instead provided us with a performance so lackluster it came with its own apology letter. Stephen A. didn't just criticize Angel's performance, he performed surgery on her entire basketball identity without anesthesia. She's not Caitlin Clark as a player, he said with the kind of finality that ends careers and starts therapy sessions. Caitlin Clark is on a different level. That wasn't just analysis, that was a public service announcement delivered with the subtlety of a freight train. But here's where it gets really spicy. Angel has been walking around with all this confidence, comparing herself to legends, acting like she's the second coming of basketball greatness. Meanwhile, her shooting percentage from 5 feet and closer is so bad, it should come with a warning label. Stephen A. pointed out she's shooting 19 of 59 from point-blank range. That's not just struggling, that's actively defying the laws of basketball physics. The rebounds argument is getting old too. Sure, she grabbed 12 boards against the Liberty. Congratulations, you collected participation trophies while your team got demolished by 27 points. It's like being proud of your attendance record while failing every class. Rebounds without production is just busy work disguised as basketball impact. And let's talk about that comparison to Michael Jordan that someone foolishly made. Stephen A. probably heard that and immediately started praying for basketball's collective soul. Michael Jordan would have scored Angel's entire season total in a single quarter while playing with the flu. The audacity to even put those names in the same sentence is enough to make basketball purists weep openly. Here's what really happened in that Liberty game. Angel had the perfect setup. No Caitlin Clark to steal her thunder. National television audience, primetime slot, and every opportunity to prove she belongs in the same conversation as the league's elite players. Instead, she provided us with a performance so forgettable that highlight reels are filing restraining orders. The coaching staff tried everything. They moved her around like furniture in a haunted house, hoping a change of scenery would unlock some hidden scoring ability. Power forward, center, small ball 5. Nothing worked. Tyler Marsh was probably drawing up plays in hieroglyphics by the fourth quarter, desperately searching for any combination that might result in Angel making a shot. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is sitting on the bench in street clothes and still managing to be more relevant to the game's narrative than the player who actually suited up. That's when you know you've completely lost the plot. When an injured player generates more excitement than your healthy star, you're not having a slump, you're having an existential crisis. The fan reactions tell the whole story. Social media was brutal. 4 points again became the rallying cry of disappointed viewers who tuned in expecting fireworks and got a wet matchstick instead. Even Angel's most dedicated supporters were struggling to find positive spins. She contributed in other ways, became the basketball equivalent of, she has a great personality. Stephen A. wasn't finished though. He dove into the historical context that makes this whole situation even more embarrassing. Angel built her entire WNBA brand on that LSU championship moment where she taunted Caitlin Clark. That viral confrontation launched her into professional basketball stardom. But here's the problem. You can't build a career on one college moment. Eventually, you have to actually play basketball at a professional level. The irony is delicious. Angel became famous for getting in Clark's face during college. And now, Clark is getting in her face through sheer basketball excellence without even trying. One player elevated their game to match their confidence. The other is still riding the wave of a 3-year-old college memory while posting numbers that wouldn't impress a JV coach. Let's examine the efficiency numbers that have Stephen A. and everyone else questioning what Angel actually brings to the table. She's been blocked 20 times and has only made 21 field goals. That's not just bad shooting, that's performance art about futility. She's turning basketball into an interpretive dance about disappointment. The comparison to Caitlin Clark becomes unavoidable because they entered the league as this generation's defining rivalry. Except one player is redefining what's possible in professional basketball, while the other is redefining what counts as a contribution. Clark's triple-double numbers are historic. Angel's shooting percentages are historic for all the wrong reasons. When Stephen A. mentioned that Clark could pull up from anywhere like Steph Curry, he wasn't exaggerating. We've seen Clark launch successful shots from distances that would make NBA players think twice. Meanwhile, Angel is struggling with layups that should be automatic for anyone who's ever touched a basketball. The skill gap isn't just noticeable, it's becoming embarrassing. The WNBA viewership numbers tell an even more brutal story. That Liberty Sky game pulled in just over 600,000 viewers on ESPN despite featuring multiple all-star players and signature shoe athletes. For context, Fever games without Caitlin Clark still outdraw that on smaller networks. The league's entire marketing strategy is built around rivalries and personalities, but what happens when half the rivalry can't perform? Angel's pregame fashion choices have become a meme at this point. Stephen A. wondered aloud whether she spends more time coordinating outfits than actually practicing basketball fundamentals. When your pregame runway walk generates more highlight-worthy content than your actual game performance, you're not an athlete. You're an influencer who happens to own basketball shoes. The coaching staff's frustration has to be reaching critical levels. Imagine game planning around a player who consistently underperforms in crucial moments. Every timeout becomes an intervention. Every substitution becomes a mercy killing. Tyler Marsh probably has Angel's benching speech memorized at this point, because he's used it so frequently. Here's what makes Stephen A.'s criticism so effective. He's not attacking Angel personally. He's holding her accountable to the standards she set for herself. She called herself a star. She positioned herself as Clark's equal. She courted the comparison and the competition. Now she has to live with the results when those comparisons make her look ordinary. The psychological aspect cannot be ignored. Angel entered the league with tremendous confidence, backed by college success and viral moments. But professional basketball has a way of humbling players who aren't ready for the level of competition. Every missed shot becomes a confidence killer. Every poor performance adds weight to the criticism. The mental game becomes just as challenging as the physical demands. Clark's injury absence should have been Angel's opportunity to shine brighter. Instead, it highlighted how much the league's excitement depends on one player. When Clark sits, viewership drops. When Clark doesn't play, social media engagement plummets. That's not necessarily Angel's fault, but it does expose how little impact she actually has on the league's overall appeal. The salary cap discussions become relevant here too. WNBA players are pushing for increased compensation and better working conditions, but performances like Angel's 4-point disappearing don't exactly strengthen their negotiating position. Owners are watching these games and wondering why they should invest more money in players who can't consistently deliver entertainment value. Stephen A. touched on something crucial when he mentioned Angel's leadership qualities. Beyond the statistics, what does she actually contribute to team success? Veteran leadership, clutch performances, defensive intensity that changes games. The answer seems to be rebounds and social media content, which isn't exactly a recipe for championship basketball. The development timeline is also concerning. Most players show significant improvement between their first and second professional seasons. Angel appears to be regressing in key areas while her confidence remains mysteriously intact. That disconnect between self-perception and actual performance creates a dangerous gap that can derail careers. Looking at the broader WNBA landscape, Angel's struggles represent a larger problem with player development and realistic expectations. The league needs stars who can consistently perform under pressure. Every marquee player who fails to deliver hurts the overall product and makes it harder to attract casual fans who might become long-term supporters. The comparison to Clark becomes unavoidable because they're forever linked through that college championship moment. But while Clark used that experience as motivation to reach new heights, Angel seems content to coast on the memory. One player transformed criticism into fuel for improvement. The other turned early success into comfortable complacency. Stephen A.'s final point about Angel not being ready for the professional level hits hardest because it's probably true. College success doesn't automatically translate to professional excellence. The WNBA is faster, more physical, and infinitely less forgiving than college basketball. Players who can't adapt get left behind, regardless of their social media following or fashion sense. The fan investment aspect cannot be overlooked either. People are spending money on tickets, merchandise, and streaming services partly because they believe they're watching elite basketball. When players consistently underperform, it breaks that implicit contract between athlete and audience. Fans feel cheated, and rightfully so. Angel's shooting struggles from close range represent more than just mechanical issues. They suggest fundamental problems with focus, preparation, or natural ability. Professional basketball players are supposed to make shots that recreational players can make. When that basic expectation isn't met, everything else becomes secondary. The media narrative around Angel has been fascinating to watch evolve. Early in her career, every criticism was met with defensive reactions and accusations of unfair treatment. Now, even her supporters are running out of excuses. Reality has a way of cutting through hype, and reality says 4 points in a crucial game isn't acceptable at any level. Stephen A. Smith's criticism represents a turning point in how Angel Reese is perceived by mainstream sports media. The honeymoon period is officially over. The benefit of the doubt has been exhausted. Moving forward, she'll be judged purely on performance, and based on recent evidence, that's a terrifying prospect for her career trajectory. Stephen A. delivered the truth that nobody else was brave enough to say. Angel Reese's 4-point performance wasn't just disappointing, it was a reality check for anyone still comparing her to Caitlin Clark. What's your take on this whole situation? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button if you think Stephen A was right, and subscribe for more unfiltered basketball analysis.